Monday mornings with Matt and Kevin. What's in the news? Topics that come up around the dinner table will be given the truth treatment with no punches held and no falsehood left standing. These two will debate real-life issues from a Catholic perspective every Monday at 9 a.m. Eastern.
And now, here are your hosts, Matt and Kevin.
As soon as I finished high school, I got a job at a wedding hall where I watched many, many, many people celebrate their wedding. And I can assure you that no song was more popular or played more often than Total Eclipse of the Heart by Bonnie Tyler going back to 1982. I wanted to open up the show that way, but every time we use music like that, YouTube flags us for copyright infringement. So I couldn't get it up there for you today, but I'm sure that you have the song playing in your head now. You're welcome for that. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin. Here on the Catholic Family Podcast, Kevin is away in Italy. He's mocking me, where he's enjoying gelato and fettuccine and I don't know, any sort of pasta or pizza and all the beautiful ambiance that Italy has to offer. While I sit here in cold, dreary New England, I hope you hear me, Kev, with my warm cup of coffee. Ever so jealous that you are living it up in my beautiful Italia. But so I hope you're all having a wonderful week. We're 1 week removed from that great American eclipse, which is why I wanted to start the show with that song. But apparently the powers of the internet had other plans. But hey, I am very curious your thoughts, your experiences regarding this great American eclipse. Now, here in the tri-state area, we were not on the path of totality. It did get dark. I shouldn't say dark. It got dim, almost like a twilight dusk sort of feeling. And then it just turned into a sunny day a bit after that. But I have some friends who traveled to see it, who drove a few hours up north from here to go and take a look, to be in that path of totality, where the sun and the moon were perfectly aligned with one another, and it got really, really dark. So I want to know your thoughts. Like, is it, first of all, my first question would be, is it worth it to you to make such a trip? Do you think that witnessing an event like that lasts maybe 3 or 4 minutes, of doing nothing more than the moon passing between the earth and the sun, is worth a 3-4 hour drive, and then that same hour drive back? Is that worth it to you? I saw people on social media, on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, whatever, getting emotional over looking up at the sky and being moved, being touched by witnessing such an event. What are your thoughts on that? I have seen people comment both ways in regards to such a reaction. I saw somebody say, are you crying over an eclipse? You sound like a vaccinated liberal. And I, that was my first reaction too. Like, why are you reacting this way? But after seeing some footage of it, I can see how man can be touched, can be moved to whatever emotion he or she might experience when looking up at the cosmos, when taking in God's most magnificent creation, when seeing that we are so small and yet so important in the eyes of God, that he put these things in the cosmos and he made it all good. He aligned it according to his will, and it stays there for and according to his will. So I'm curious, those two things. I would love for you to comment down below. One, is it worth seeing this? Is it worth traveling to see such a great event, according to some people? And is there a proper reaction to it? What do you think of people who were moved or touched? There are some meteorologists who were in tears. They had to stop broadcasting because they were just, for whatever reason, they were just so moved by this whole cosmetic show. So drop your thoughts down below. I would love to see some conversations. And in terms of my own thoughts, would I have traveled to have been in the path of totality to see this? No. I didn't really care. Anyway, I think the media and all of the posts online made me care more than I should have. If it wasn't an advertised event, I would have had absolutely no interest in the world in this, but they kind of pushed it on us a little bit, I feel like. And my second thought, should man be moved, or my second question, I guess you could say, should man be moved or touched by witnessing such an experience? I can see why, because we do have that natural law about us that does know right from wrong, and we can acknowledge God by, as Vatican I taught, by observing nature, right? So we look up at these beautiful events, and if our minds are moved to God, to our Creator, I think that is a good thing. And I don't think that there should be shame in feeling and expressing any emotions when you're standing before something like this. So I'm curious, leave your thoughts down below, and we can have a little conversation there as well. One of the things that I thought was kind of strange, well, not strange, but interesting, is I'm just going to throw some numbers out there, but I feel like there have been so many events that I have lived through where they say things like, you won't see this again for another 85 years, or this won't happen again for another 240 years. And I feel like I keep living them. Am I the only one that kind of feels a certain way about this? Like, I don't know. I don't know when the next total eclipse is going to come over us, but I don't know. I feel like these things that are once in a lifetime happen every few weeks, but maybe that is just me. So share your thoughts, concerns, questions, anything down below. I want to share with you all too. I have really developed, if any of you follow me on Twitter, I've really developed love and devotion to Saint Philomena. And it was interesting because when I first really started to come into my faith, my favorite saint without question was Saint Therese of Lisieux. I remember reading Story of a Soul and just falling in love with her. And I thought to myself, there will never be a saint that I love more than her. Well, not too long after I made that bold proclamation, I read a bit about Saint Gemma Galgani, which, first of all, I have some partiality towards because of that beautiful Italian name, but just the humble love that she had of both God and Our Lady, and her hatred, her the way she despised sin was really paramount in speaking to me. And I thought, though, okay, now these two women are my favorite saints. And as I've gone along, I have developed a devotion to many great saints. And most recently, one that I could say that I truly have fallen in love with and developed a devotion towards is Saint Philomena. And this kind of started when I sent an email to a priest who is under the Roman Catholic Institute and under Bishop Sanborn. And I emailed him just to speak with him a little bit. And he said that he owed his entire ministry to Saint Philomena. And it prompted me to Google her and to read more about her. And coincidentally, not too long after that, it was Kevin's very own mother, Mrs. Davis, who made a beautiful Facebook post with all of the popes and some saints speaking on her. And I didn't know that she was suppressed by the conciliar church. So I really took some time to study her and read about her. And I just recently, I wish I could show you all. I don't have video here, but I ordered, so the CMRI nuns, they knit these beautiful St. Philomena cords. So you can Google it, you can pull one up. I had emailed the sisters out there with the CMRI asking if, because they didn't have any available in the store at the time, but I asked one of them if they could still be made for me. And so I mentioned it to Father after Mass, and he said, he's like, I believe actually the sister that cords these cords is named Sister Philomena as well. And she does it. He told me that she doesn't even have to look when she's cording these beautiful red and white cords. And so I got mine, and I highly, highly, highly suggest and recommend and urge you to, if you don't have a St. Philomena cord, to look one up, to read more about this devotion, and to get one for yourself. Like I said, I got mine through the CMRI sisters. They sent me a few, and they sent me this beautiful little prayer card too that I'd like to read with you or for you, and kind of just talk a little bit about how I felt here. So this is the devotion of St. Philomena's cord. And it says here in this little pamphlet, of the several forms of devotion to St. Philomena, perhaps the one that is best known and most used is that of her cord. This devotion was embraced on the account of the numerous graces the saint obtained for all of those who sought her intercession, and has been used ever since the very beginning of the devotion to her. The cord approved by the Sacred Congregation of Rites must be made according to the prescribed formula. It's usually worn inside the dress as a girdle. No ceremony is required in conferring it, but it should be blessed before being worn. When worn out, the new cord must also be blessed. Children, however young, may receive and wear a cord. It is recommended that parents should see their children each have a cord, for it is great protection against evils and accidents of all kinds. In putting the cord on, wearers ought to resolve to constantly honor Saint Philomena in order to merit protection against all of the evils of soul and body, and also to obtain through her intercession perfect chastity, the spirit of charity so necessary in unhappy times in which we live, in the grace of doing violence to themselves as to truly lead a Christian life. The wearing of this cord is efficacious in a special manner for preserving and obtaining the virtue of purity. Pope Leo XIII blessed and approved this devotion of the cord of Saint Philomena and enriched it with many precious indulgences. By receipt dated March 14th, 1893, he granted 100 days indulgence to the faithful who, wearing the cord, recite the prayer with devotion and contrition. The cord of Saint Philomena has also been the means of the most wonderful cures and other remarkable temporal benefits, and consequently it has become very popular and is used in the most astonishing results by the sick, by the afflicted, and those fighting some great temptation. The following incident will show the efficacy of the cord of Saint Philomena. For several years, the superioress of a well-known convent had made a practice of giving the cord of St. Philomena to sick people, some of whom belonged to her order. The superior said that the saint is just a wonder, for, with the exception of 2 or 3, the sick were cured, and it seemed quite clear that it was best for those 2 or 3 who were not cured to go to God. A priest who was ill and had every reason to fear the consequences of the most serious kind put on the cord of St. Philomena, promising at the time to spread devotion to her. He was cured, and that same day was able to get up. So if this devotion is new to you, or you have not heard of it yet, I highly encourage you to look into it and to purchase the cord and develop a devotion to St. Philomena. No, I'm not only working here to try to spread devotion to her, but I am thoroughly convinced of her powerful intercession. St. John Vianney called her his wonder worker. He fell so in love with her, and she answered him so liberally that he spread devotion to her throughout all of France. And there was a vision as well, and the name is escaping me now. I wish I had it ready, but the Blessed Virgin Mary was asked in a vision, which saint in heaven should I turn to? When asking things that are of utmost importance, and the Blessed Virgin answered, "Go to Philomena, for we refuse her nothing." So even to the Blessed Virgin, Saint Philomena has a very powerful and special place in her heart. So again, I implore you all to either look into her, pray to her, develop a devotion to her, and buy these cords and wear one on you in these times. Speaking of saints, I just ordered a copy of Lives of the Saints from 1954. I love those old books. There's just something to say about those old hard-covered books that have those kind of dusty pages, and you can just they have that old book smell to it. Do you know what I mean? And there's just something about it in a Catholic collection. I've tried to purchase vintage books from that era rather than reprints. I don't know, there's just something lacking about a reprinted copy of something that has this newness. I don't like new books. I'm one of the weird ones that doesn't like new books. I like my bookshelf to have that old musty, where those white pages are now yellow. I like that. Maybe that's just me, but really what prompted me to do it was reading over the weekend of the saint of, what day was it? Saturday, April 13th, Saint Hermenegild, who was from Spain, and he embraced the Arian heresy. And this is a fascinating story. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with it, but as brief as it is, this saint Hermenegild, that's let me pull it up here because now I can't spell it, Hermenegilda, I hope I'm saying that right. Hermenegild, I guess. Absolutely fascinating story. So he fell for the Arian heresy, which denied the divinity of Christ. And after coming in fully to the Catholic faith and rejecting that heresy, he was prompted, or forced really, by his father to receive Holy Communion from an Arian bishop. And rather than do so, he refused. And he said, "No, I will profess the Catholic faith whole and entire." And he did not receive Holy Communion from that bishop. And because of that, he was ordered to be beheaded. Now think about that. A man refused to receive a perfectly validatedly consecrated host from a bishop who openly professed heresy, who denied the divinity of Christ. And he did so in such a way that he literally, because he knew it was coming, chose death than receive this host from the hands of a blasphemer and a heretic. Does that make you feel like a coward? Because it did to me. I thought of how unmoved this world is, how so open we are to tolerating just whatever. Just whatever. How often we lack these virtues of strength and bravery and the desire to love God above everything. And if we had just an ounce of the courage that some of these martyrs, like Saint Philomena, had, this world would change overnight. Do you have any saint stories that you would like to share as well that really touched you, that really inspired you to be holy, that really motivated you to take a stand against something that you knew was wrong, but you were too afraid? And how do you think that we can live in such a way to honor God? So is there a situation this week that you are facing, whether at work or at home or with anyone in your family, that requires you to be bold, to be zealous, to be willing to preach the true Catholic faith whole and unblemished? Turn to these saints. Imitate them. Ask them for their help. Ask them to give you the grace to stand firm in your religion, to profess this one Catholic faith without any fear or hesitation. Implore them and take that one step in doing so. Saint Philomena, Virgin, Martyr, Wonder Worker, pray for us. Sweetheart of Mary, be my salvation. Thank you for listening to Monday Mornings with Matt and Kevin here on the Catholic Family Podcast. Have a very blessed and holy week.
Make the world Catholic again.